Okay, so today what we're going to be doing is adding integers with different signs. Now, the rule for adding integers with different signs says to add the integers with different signs, keep the sign of the number with the largest absolute value. Okay, so once we find the absolute value of each number, we're going to keep the sign, either positive or negative, of the one that's greater. Okay, and then we're going to subtract, okay, the smallest absolute value from the largest. So in short, okay, it's two steps. Okay, we keep the sign of the greater absolute value, and then we subtract the absolute values from both numbers. Okay, so how does that work? Well, what it's asking us, or what it's explaining to us to do, okay, when we're adding integers with different signs, is that, for example, this problem that we have right here, positive 3 plus negative 5. The first thing they want us to do is to find the absolute value of each number so we can see which one is greater. Well, the absolute value of positive 3 is equal to 3. The absolute value of negative 5, if I take the absolute value of negative 5, I'm going to get 5. Okay, so now that I have both numbers here, okay, I know that the absolute value of negative 5 is greater because 5 is greater than 3. So what this tells me is that I want to keep this negative sign for our answer. This lets me know that my answer is going to be negative. Okay, it's going to be negative. Okay, that's step number 1. Step number 2 says to subtract them. So all I'm going to do is subtract both absolute values. Okay, so 5 minus 3 gives me 2. Okay, so my answer becomes negative 2. Okay, negative 2. Now, if you use counters for a visual, okay, if we cancel out one blue one, a plus 1 minus 1, plus 1 minus 1, plus 1 minus 1, well, we're left off with 2 red counters, and 2 red counters mean negative 2. Okay, because if I give you $1 and take away $1, if I give you $1 and take away $1, okay, you're not left with anything. Okay, it's canceling each other out. Okay, it's whenever we add opposites, you get 0. Okay, so again, this is what we're going to be working on today. Okay, and we're going to be working more examples like this in a moment. Okay, so remember, the first number always tells us where to start. Okay, so in this case, my negative 7, okay, is where I'm going to start. So I'm going to start at what number?
Negative 7.
Negative 7. Very good. Okay, my second number, okay, is going to tell us the direction and how many spots to move. Okay, so we're going to move 5 units to the, what is it?
Positive, so you move to the right.
Very good. It's positive, so we're going to go to the right. Very good. Okay, or in the blank direction. Okay, we said it was positive, so in the positive direction. Okay, good. Positive direction. So now, if I go back to my number, okay, I'm going to start at negative 7. So I'm going to start at negative 7. I'm going to move 5 units to the right. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so I started here and I ended here. Okay, wherever I end is my solution or my answer. So in this case, negative 7 plus 5 gives me negative 2 as my answer. Okay, negative 2. Okay, good. Okay, again, we are adding integers with different signs. Okay, different signs, difference. So the last step we're doing is subtracting. Okay, look at letter C. 6 plus negative 6. Okay, well, we're going to start at the first number. In this case, my first number is what?
Positive 6.
Positive 6. So we're going to start at 6 and move blank units to the blank. Well, look at my second number. Okay, my second number is a what?
Negative.
Negative. So I'm going to be moving to what side?
Left.
Very good. To the left. Okay, so move left. Oh, I'm sorry. Oops. Move 6 units to the left. Okay. Or in the, what direction is it? Left is what direction?
Negative.
Negative direction. Very good. Okay, negative direction. Yes. Okay, it's the negative direction. So now we have 6 plus negative 6. Okay, well, if I go graph it, okay, I'm going to start at 6 is what I wrote. So here I am. And then I'm going to move 6 units to the left. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I started here and I moved all the way over here. So my answer is what?
0.
0. Okay, now I told you an important piece of information. Okay, and I'm going to give you a clue. Look at these two numbers right here. What are they?
Equivalent? No, they're opposite.
Opposites. Very good. These are called opposite numbers. Okay, so I told you all that whenever we add opposites, my answer is always going to be what?
Positive.
Not positive, but what? Whenever I add opposites, I'm always going to get what? If I give you one and I take one and I give you one and I take one, what are you always going to have?
0.
0. Very good. Opposites are always equal to 0. Okay, very good. Opposites are always equal to 0. Okay, very good. Okay, again, this is adding integers with different signs. Okay, so we're going to be adding integers with different signs. So just like last time, okay, like what we did yesterday, okay, the very first thing that we want to do is identify what we're doing. Okay, so the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to write up here on top, adding integers with different signs. Okay, because it's very important that we're able to distinguish what we're doing. Okay, now my rule for adding integers with different signs, okay, is 2 steps. Okay, step number 1, okay, is find the absolute value of each number. Number and keep the sign. Okay, whoops. Okay, find the absolute value of each number and keep the sign of the greater one. Okay, that's step number 1. Okay, find the absolute value and keep the sign of the greater one. Number 2 is subtract the absolute values. Okay, subtract the absolute values. And I'm going to put it here, absolute values in parentheses. Okay, so that's what we're going to be practicing right now. Okay, we're going to practice, okay, adding integers with different signs. So let's take a look at number 3. Okay, well, my first step is to find the absolute value of each number. Okay, well, in this case, okay, the absolute value of 5, positive 5, is 5. The absolute value of negative 1 is 1. Okay, so now that I have the absolute value of each number, okay, what I want to do is go back, okay, and see which number was bigger. In this case, the absolute value of 5 was bigger. So I'm going to go back to this number, okay, and look at my number. Well, this number was positive, okay. So that means that my answer is going to be positive because I'm always going to keep the absolute value of the bigger number. So I know my answer is going to be positive. And now step 2 says to subtract the absolute values. Well, 5 minus 1 gives me 4. So my answer becomes positive 4, okay, positive 4, okay. That's how we solve adding integers with different signs, okay? Now, let's take a look at number 4. Here's another example, okay? So again, the first step is to find the absolute value of each number, okay? The absolute value of 4 is 4. The absolute value of negative 6 is 6, okay? So now I have my absolute value absolute values for each number. And again, I want to keep the sign of the larger absolute value. In this case, the larger absolute value is 6, so I'm going to keep the sign of its original number. Okay, and here I have a negative, so I know that my answer is going to be negative. Okay, step number 2 says to subtract it. So now 6 minus 4 gives me 2. So my answer becomes negative 2. Okay, negative 2. Okay, and that's how we're going to be using the rule to solve adding integers with different signs.